Hey everybody, today we're going to be talking about Alexander the Great, or as my high school history teacher called him, Alexander the Overrated. We're going to dive right in. So we're going to start with Philip II of Macedon, or Philip of Macedon, depending on how you learned him. He only has one eye, the other came out with an arrow. This is Alexander's dad. He created a standing army in Macedonia and the sarissa, which is an 18 to 20 foot long spear. If you listen to some of my videos about the hoplite phalanx and the Greece videos, this phalanx is a little bit different. It's the Macedonian phalanx. Because the sarissas are so long, it protects you from far too, and from arrows. They also have a companion cavalry that have shorter sarissas, and Philip is the first non-Greek to take over all of Greece, and he wants to get Persia. But then he gets assassinated, possibly by Alexander the Great's mom, which is pretty cool if you ask me. When that happens, Alex inherits all of the land, everything that Philip had at age 20. People around him viewed him as a boy, but he's a psycho. His mom, Olympus, says that Philip isn't his dad and that Zeus came to her as a snake and impregnated her. So Alex believes that he is half god. He also learns under Aristotle and has this crazy dream of world conquest with universal brotherhood under one ruler. Him. What a dream. Now, my professor encouraged us to remember anyone with the name The Great with the acronym I'm a nutsack. So I inherit military machine, I'm nutsack, which would be new unity, usually military, but not always, technology, nut, and then strategic genius and killer ruthless mass murder, sack. And Alex was a military genius. He had a 3-stage plan to victory. The first thing he's going to do is liberate Ionia, because Ionia is the supply line to Persia. So if we get that first, then they're not going to be able to come back and defeat us right away. It's going to take more time. Then we're going to conquer the Mediterranean states and take all of the ports, because once again, seafarer, travel, ports give you access to supplies and other lines. Then we're going to use siege engines, which are city attacking machines, to surround the city. We're going to starve them out and cut off their supplies. Then we're going to take the capitals, Persepolis and Susa. This plan goes pretty okay until they get to Tyre, which is in modern-day Lebanon, and it's an island with walls. And Alex uses a ballista, which is a throwing weapon, kind of like a bow and arrow if it was like really big and you had to kind of like get behind it and shoot it like a big arrow gun. And a siege tower, which are the size of like bigger than my dorm building. They're on wheels and they come slowly to the city and have like holes for arrows, so you can basically just set them on fire and flatten them all out. So they flatten Tyre and New Tyre and use rubble to make a bridge. And meanwhile, all this is happening, we've got a third player. So the first king of kings was Darius. Then we had his son Xerxes, and now we got Darius the third. So he's a couple generations removed. Still the same conflict, though. I love that this drama is still going on. It just makes the Kardashians look like nothing when you see stuff like this. He has an army, Darius, of 300,000 to 500,000, and Alex's army is 3,500. Just let that sink in. But if you've listened to the last 2 videos, you might not be surprised by what happens. We're going to start with the Battle of Issus, which is in 333 BC. Now, Alex always picks the geography because Darius is stupid, or Darius III, and just keeps letting him do it. So the way that Alex does this is he sets up his Macedonian phalanx army, coming straight on, and he makes sure there's like mountains on one side and a river on the other side. And then you can see that Darius's army is really, really deep. So Alex is in the front lines in the cavalry on a horse with his peeps. Like, he is crazy. He is in it to win it. And Darius is just like in the middle, like peacing out. His family's in the back. His mom's cheering him on. And then the battle begins and Alex cuts straight to the right. And Darius is like, what are you going to do? Go get him, go get him. So when they do that, it draws the cavalry away so that they can start to wear down the Persian cavalry on one side. And then Alex gets really close to Darius, like really fast, like close to killing Darius himself. And then Darius freaks out and leaves. And so when Darius leaves, his whole army's like, well, if Darius is gone, why should I be here? I mean, my boss isn't here, so he's not going to know if I take the day off. And so they basically all just leave. And Alex takes his family, his mom, his daughter, and instead of torturing them, he just treats them pretty well, and they really like him. Then we get to the Battle of Gaugamela, which happens 2 years later in 331 BC, and literally the exact same thing happens again. Like, I'm not even kidding you. It's just exactly the same as what happens the first time. And the Persian generals are so pissed that they decide that they're going to kill Darius because they're like, this guy's an idiot, and obviously this Alex kid is the supreme leader and a master of geography. So they bring Alex Darius's head, and Alex is like, great, thanks, I really appreciate that. And then he kills his generals, because if you're not going to be loyal to your own king, then how would Alex know that you would be loyal to him? So once Darius dies, Persia is all Alex's. It's crazy. He tries to quell revolts, and he does. And when he gets to India, they have war elephants, which are really annoying for his army to fight, and they don't like it. Then he conquers the Indus River and wants to keep going, but his army is so tired. They're like, dude, we've been at this forever. Like, we are done. I just want to go home and, like, take a nap. Please, this sucks. And Alex is like, but guys, we are so close to conquering the whole world. Like, what's China? I never heard of her. The Americas, I don't know. But India, that's it. And then maybe we can, like, go to Africa, maybe. And his army is not having it. They are constantly creating cities that speak Greek at this time because they're leaving the retired military personnel in each of these cities and then picking up new people. One of the most notable cities that they create is Alexandria, Egypt, where Egyptian, Greek, and Persian culture all collides. It's a big synthesis. Then Alex starts to undergo kind of like a Greek-Persian assimilation mix. He starts to act like a god, dress like a Persian king, and dress up as Apollo and Apollo's sister sometimes. He also was really into binge drinking when he was in the palace at Persepolis, and one time he accidentally burned down the palace and then the city just because, like, he was not having a good day. I'm sure we can all relate to that. His best friend, Cletus, was like, hey man, we gotta talk. This is getting out of control. It's not cool of you to constantly burn down the city and act like a butthole all the time. We're going to need to stop. And of course, Alex is drunk, and so what does he do? He kills Cletus, his best friend. And then when he wakes up, he's all sad. He's like, oh man, Cletus was my buddy. Cletus saved me in war one time. I shouldn't have killed him. Oops, like, but whatever. I'm the king. I'm God. And then Alex dies of malaria from a mosquito bite. He's 32. His wife, Roxana, one of his wives, was pregnant with his only child, and she's not sure if it's a girl. And Alex just says that the strongest person should succeed him. So his kid ended up being a boy, and they killed him at 13 because they were like, it's Alex's kid, so he's probably going to be just as crazy. And the empire splits and is controlled by the Greeks and the Ptolemies in Egypt, which is the most enduring legacy in Egypt. The last of the Ptolemies is Cleopatra, which we will talk about in the next episode. But the Library of Alexandria is a huge deal. It's almost like a place for research. They would create copies of all these famous documents and then send the copies back to the people that sent them so that they would have the originals. Alex left so many Greeks in all of the places, so the Greek language is very important. The upper class speaks Greek, and there's a Hellenistic synthesis, a mix of East and West. Another cool factor that demonstrates this is the way that Buddha starts to look, because there's an influence from Greek art. Buddha starts to look like Apollo. So Apollo wore a top knot on his head. I always wear one to keep my bangs out of my eyes. And I did not know that that represented wisdom. So ladies, if you do that, we are all wise. But this transmits to the Silk Roads, or to China via the Silk Roads, and the drapery that Greek gods always wear transitions into being a part of Buddhist statues. It's really neat how this happens. And this is basically a great place to end this episode. We're going to go into Rome from Republic to Empire in the next episode, and I will see y'all there. Thank you.